Let's get more details on Japan's nuclear crisis. We're joined by Brendan Kennedy, Professor of Chemistry at the University of Sydney. Dr. Kennedy, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
The greatest threat to public health seems to be the spent fuel in pools of water atop the plant's 6 reactors. Can you tell us, can you explain to us why this is so crucial?
When a nuclear reaction stops, the elements continue to release a large amount of energy in the form of heat for a long period of time, several months to a year. You need to remove that heat to stop everything getting too hot to a point where it melts. So when the nuclear reactor shuts down, you take the elements out, you put them in a pool of water, and then, like in your car, you just circulate cooling water around that to keep your car engine. You circulate water around that to keep it all nice and cool.
What's the risk then of the fuel ponds getting hot enough to start a nuclear reaction?
It depends on how you define a nuclear reaction. So to restart a chain reaction as occurs in the normal operation of a reactor, that won't happen. The elements are put too far apart and they're all separated out. However, they are continuing to release large amounts of energy as they go through there. So what's really critical is to try and keep them as cool as possible. The problem that they're suffering from at the moment in Japan appears to be that the water is evaporating out of those holding tanks, and that's what they're trying to replenish.
Do you think that dumping water from helicopters will help cool the fuel rods? I mean, does that definitely aid the process?
It will aid the process. Just how successful it is a more difficult thing to try and estimate. I think one of the things we need to keep remembering is that the operators there have 6 reactors. 3 were operating at the time of the earthquake. The other 3 were shut down for routine maintenance. So they're dealing now with trying to keep all 6 reactors in as safe a condition as possible. And when they identify a major problem, they try and fix that. But of course, they're resource poor. Nobody would have planned to try and deal with 6 reactors all losing power and cooling at the same time.
What do you think that Tokyo Electric isn't doing that maybe it should be doing? Many have been highly critical of the way it's responded. I mean, do you think they have responded to the best of their abilities?
I think they certainly have responded to the best of their ability. They would have done all the scenario planning and all the emergency training for a reactor to fail, or possibly even 2 reactors to fail. But I don't think they would have ever planned for a disaster at this level when they've got 3 reactors and one of the ponds basically running low on water. And I think they're in the dark. They don't really know what's happening, so they're triaging. They find a problem, they fix the problem. I think the helicopter's actually a positive. I think that's a reactive move from the operators rather than... Sorry, it's a proactive move from the operators rather than reacting to problems. I get the sense almost that they're beginning to get on top of things.
The problem is, though, that rising radiation levels mean that it's difficult to take corrective measures. I mean, they've had to pull technicians away from inspecting the facilities. You get caught in a bit of a catch-22 position there, don't you? And
this is where the problem of having the multiple reactors there all failing, that if you just had a single set of reactors, you could be moving your technicians through, rotating them, keeping them as safe as possible, as well as looking after the reactor problem. But when you're lurching from reactor to reactor with a relatively small pool of workers trained on that site, you've got problems. The longer this goes on, the easier it will become for the operators, because they'll be able to bring in more experienced emergency personnel from other facilities in Japan and elsewhere in the world to really help them out.
Dr. Kennedy, thank you for joining us today. Dr. Brendan Kennedy there, Professor of Chemistry at the University of Sydney.